2-0.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
What's good? What's good, everyone? How's everyone doing tonight? It is Friday here on another episode of NBA Fast Break with my fellas, Mike and Chris. How you guys doing tonight? How you doing,
buddy? Man,
good, man. How's it going?
I'm doing great, bro.
Good, good. I see that your Chicago Bulls are doing well to start off the season. I'm not really surprised.
Yes, sir.
They have a different team now. They have a new look team, a team that's finally looked like it's on the right path, and that's good for you down there in the Windy City. What's up, Chris? What's going on, man?
Man, just out here, man. Ready for this Suns game?
Same here, man. Same here. It's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close. I got the Lakers winning by 4 points. I think it's going to be
Chris, the one that you'll win your bet on.
The one I win my bet on. The one I win my bet against Freddie on. That's why he's not here right now.
Oh, figures.
He's in hiding.
Well, you know, he's also a big Laker fan. He doesn't like to miss any games. So he stays glued to the TV when the Lakers are playing. So I don't really expect him to be here. But, guys, let's talk some NBA basketball. As you know, the NBA season is back full in effect. And it's looking good for Mike's team right now. But I got some topics here, and I want to get into it. The first one I want to talk about is LeBron, because LeBron is always a trendy topic, right, in the NBA. You always hear about LeBron James, LeBron this, LeBron that, and rightfully so, because he's been the face of the NBA for so many years now. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. What would it mean more to LeBron? 8 rings, all-time scoring record, are playing in the league the same time as his son, Bronny? I'm going to take the last one. And the reason why is because I think it would be every father's dream to play with their son if they can get that opportunity to do so. And it's always family over any individual achievement. At least for me it is. Family over everything. So if LeBron gets that chance to play with his son, I think that would be the greatest accomplishment for him. And I think that would be very significant for him in his NBA career. Not too many players can play with their kids.
Yeah.
Most of them hit retirement before their sons even arrive.
Right.
To
the last one I really remember is Griffey. Really.
Yes.
Nobody in basketball has ever done it.
Yeah. So LeBron and Bronny could also join the Griffeys in accomplishing what would be an amazing achievement. So what do you guys think about that? I'm going to start with Chris first.
I agree with you. I think playing with Bronny would mean a lot to him. Just simply, that means the longevity of his career. His son was good enough to get into the league. Like we just said, no one else in the NBA has ever done that. There's been people who have had scoring titles. You know, Kareem has the record right now. LeBron's going to break it.
Kareem.
No matter how many rings he's not going to get 11. So Bill Russell's going to have that record. You can do something that no one else has ever done, and honestly, probably won't. So just for the sake of being the only one to do that, I would say playing with Bronny would mean so much more.
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like I said, that would be very priceless, being able to play with my son, and it would be a dream come true if he could end up on the same team as me. That would be remarkable as well. That would definitely be the story talked about around the NBA. Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you now. I want to hear your take on this as well.
Yeah, we got a three-headed monster. I think we all agree. It doesn't mean anything to LeBron. I don't think like the scoring title or the rings because we've already seen it on. I forget the show, the barbershop show he was on. He already feels like he is the GOAT. He felt like that after the Warriors win the 3-1 deficit. He felt like that in 2016. So to me, getting more rings, whereas it's a goal, and being one day the scoring title leader is a goal. First off, I just want to say if LeBron is playing when Bronny is, he already has the scoring title. There's no way he doesn't, unless he's just not, unless he's literally a bench, but he's not going to be. So Bronny, I think, means everything. Playing with Bronny, he already thinks himself as the GOAT from an overall player, and adding more rings or adding a scoring title doesn't change his opinion on how he already views himself. But playing with Bronny, I think, means the world to Bron, and as it should. I think that's really dope.
Yeah, I think that's really impressive as well. That would be something I would like to see. I think it would, be something that we all can relate to as humans. We all have families and people that we love dearly. And to see a father and son playing together for the first time in NBA history, that would just be a beautiful scene and something that we'll talk about for a very, very long time. Now, moving on, fellas. We're moving on to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Brooklyn Nets, I don't want to say that now's the time to push the panic button because the season just started, And, of course, Brooklyn is, favorites to come out of the East in a lot of people's eyes, right? A lot of people think Brooklyn is the team to beat in the NBA. Not so fast. They're off to a terrible start to begin the season. Now, the season is young. It's still early. But the question that I have for you guys, and Mike, I'm going to start with you first. Can Brooklyn win if Kyrie has to miss more than half the season because of the vaccination status? What is your take on that?
No, I don't. I honest to God don't think they can. And I think it's deeper than the question you asked. I think, I don't care if Kyrie misses half of the season due to that. I think you make the playoffs regardless. The problem is it really home court advantage if Kyrie isn't there for those games? And in the finals, all right, Kyrie, they're in the finals and they're playing against the Lakers. Kyrie can't play home or away because you can't play if you're not vaccinated in California, and you can't play if you're not vaccinated in New York. So Kyrie misses that entire series as a whole. Now, he'll get to the finals because maybe he'll be able to play in Chicago. Maybe he'll be able to play in Philly or Boston or Miami or where have you. Because, anything rides in Miami. They really don't care about COVID at all. Wild. But it's definitely a scenario to me where it's not about the regular season. They make the playoffs regardless. You can't tell me they're anything less than an 8 seed or even a play-in team. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even take them out of the top 5, but I definitely think, their problems are way past Kyrie Irving playing or not. I think defensively they're a problem as a whole. Outside of KD, there's not really a great defensive player there, and KD is not really all that to begin with. I think that's their biggest problem. I definitely think, bringing in guys like Dwight Howard or others definitely could have helped them. Instead, they brought in Millsap and Blake Griffin and guys who, in the moment can give you that highlight reel, but just aren't really there. So you really do have to score over 150 points a night to win these games, and that shouldn't be the case when you have a three-headed monster. When you had Bron, Wade, and Bosh, they played great defensive basketball. The great Celtics team of Paul, Rondo, and Pierce and all of them, they played great defensive basketball. And that was a big thing with the Bulls in the early 2010s as well. But you're seeing it now, you just don't have that with this team. So I think there's a lot more problems than just Kyrie.
Yeah. And, like you said, you got to play defense to win games. And that's something Brooklyn doesn't do well. James Harden is not a great defender. I think the best defender on their team is Kevin Durant. On nights that he actually feels like contesting a shot or playing some kind of defense, putting a hand in your face. This is a team that collectively doesn't like to play defense. They're committed to offense, but not defense. I'm gonna ask Chris the same question. What do you think? Does this have an effect on the Brooklyn Nets and their season?
Yes. One, because without Kyrie, that puts a lot on Kevin Durant, because James Harden really hasn't been James Harden. I know he's coming back from that injury, so it's going to probably take a little bit of time to adjust, but Kevin Durant's having to do everything. And then to go off of what Mike just said, Kevin Durant's playing defense too. So you can't expect Kevin Durant to be your best defender and your best scorer without having some extra help. It's going to tire him out. I know he's healthy this year, but you still got to think about the injuries Kevin Durant's had too. You don't want to put too much on him. And then another thing that Mike brought up was, even if Kyrie is there, what if they meet the Knicks in the playoffs? Kyrie can't play at all that whole series. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to do anything without Kyrie. I think they need to try to find and get something for him, send him away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you got to get something for him if it's not going to work out, and move on from him, because this could turn out to be a toxic relationship if they don't make a move on this, and if they don't come to any type of solution. And at this point, he's made it real clear that he has no plans on getting vaccinated. So if that's going to be the case, then you have to move on from Kyrie Irving, and you have to look for a trade, because he's going to miss a vast majority of games, particularly the ones they play here in Southern California are the ones that they play in New York. And that's most home games he won't be. All home games right. He won't play.
Freddie, Jay, by the way, Will's in here, and he said, can you guys please let me in?
Let him in.
I don't know how to let him in.
Yeah, I tagged Nate.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how to let him in either. But when he gets here, we'll talk to him too. In the meantime, we're gonna move on to the next topic, and the next topic.
There he is.
There he is.
Hey. What's up, fellas?
What's up, William?
How y'all doing?
Back, or you want to just go from where we?
I don't
Let's
know
get
what
his opinion on it. Let's get his opinion on it.
What were y'all talking about before?
Okay, we was talking about Kyrie Irving, and does his vaccination status have an effect on the Brooklyn Nets? What is your opinion about that, and how do you feel?
It does take a huge big burden for the Brooklyn Nets. He is very much needed to try to get them over the hump. It seems to be that Milwaukee has their number. Milwaukee's, and I said this last year, and you really saw it in the finals. Milwaukee's a big team, and you're gonna need all hands on deck to take care of that, to have a chance with all that size that they have. I mean, you got Bobby Portis, you got Greek Freak, you got Lopez still. I mean, that's a lot, and then the backcourt is good as well. That's a lot to deal with. You need all hands on deck, and Kyrie could have been that X factor. Granted, he is the third best player on that team, but he plays a critical position. He has the ball in his hand and can set up the offense. And I really think that the Nets are going to struggle without that. Yeah, Harden goes back to being your point, but he hasn't been James Harden. So I think it really hurts. As far as Kyrie goes, until you get yourself, and it's always been my opinion, and I look at vaccinations as a personal choice. If you decide to do it, fine. If you don't decide to do it, that's fine too. My only thing is, if you decide not to do it, then you need to stay away, because if you get yourself sick and you get somebody else sick, that's someone else's game check you playing with. And I ain't about that. He says he's not anti-vax, so I hope he gets vaccinated. Like the other two guys that you saw earlier in the season that said they weren't going to vaccinate, but they vaccinated. Hopefully he gets it together and comes back to the team. Because without Kyrie, I don't think the Nets has enough. I don't think they have enough to get past a big physical Milwaukee team.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Speaking of Milwaukee, here's a question that I have for you guys, and it's a good one. It's one that I think is worthy of being talked about, and we're gonna go right into it. William, I'm gonna ask you first since you joined the show. Can the Bucks repeat?
They can get out of the East, but I don't know if they can be one of the contenders in the West. When you're looking at we jive and we mess around, but the Lakers are contenders. But I still think that Phoenix team is very, very good. I still think Denver healthy won't be going away. I still think Utah can compete with anybody. So I think they can get out of the East. But if they should happen to play like a Denver, or if they should have to play someone like the Jazz, a team that can match size with them, that's the one thing Phoenix don't have. They don't have size outside of DeAndre Ayton. So, and sometimes he might be iffy. So I think if they end up playing someone like the Jazz, you can go toe to toe. If you play someone like Denver with Jokic, if you do that, I don't think so. But they do have enough to get out of the East.
Yeah, they do. And, Mike, I mean, we talked about this before, the Milwaukee Bucks and where you stand with this. But, I mean, we're going to talk about it again because, as we all know, the Milwaukee Bucks are one of the top contenders in the NBA. And they have one of the greatest superstars of this generation in Giannis. So I want to hear from you. Will the Bucks repeat? And can they do what they did a year ago? Can they duplicate their success?
I agree with Will wholeheartedly, but I think I agree with Will for different reasons. I felt like that season, it wasn't a cakewalk, but because of the things that happened and occurred throughout the East, the teams that you were playing, I believe they played the 76ers, if I'm not mistaken. You play the Miami Heat, you play all these guys to get to and then you play the Nets, and you play all these teams. Ben Simmons, crapshoot the entire playoffs. You know what I mean? Joel Embiid was iffy. Doc Rivers' first season, crapshoot. So you look at it from that perspective now. Now you have a solidified argument that the 76ers are playing somewhat better without Ben. They're playing better team ball. You have a rejuvenated Heat team. The Chicago Bulls are 2-0, and they've completely changed the entirety of this franchise in the direction that it's going. You also have a lot of teams like the Nets that at one shot, and Kyrie Irving's back. So that's the biggest thing I'm looking at. I feel like we can definitely do enough to get out of the East, but the problem is, how gassed are you going to be when you get out of the East? And then you have to go up against, a potential Joker or a potential Anthony Davis or a Rudy Gobert type guy. I definitely feel like that's a problem. And I feel like, you're going to have to face the Bulls. You're going to have to face the Heat. And these are tough teams and tough cities. And the 76ers, you're still going against Joel. So it's not going to be no cakewalk. You got the you got the Brooklyn Nets. And then all of that just to play in the finals. And then you have the Hawks, then you have the Knicks. You have a bunch of tough teams now in the Eastern Conference. And let's not forget about the MVP chance that we're given to LaMelo Ball the other night. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be no MVP. I'm just saying this kid gives you buckets, and this Washington team isn't no different. The Indiana Pacers are many teams. The point is, East is deep, and you got to say relatively healthy. I feel like you lost PJ Tucker, who was a lot. I was at a Milwaukee Nets game. I was at the playoffs. It was an amazing atmosphere. Bucks fans run deep. I'll give them that. But PJ Tucker, even though the stat lines show he does nothing, does a lot. He does a lot, and you really didn't make up for that. And you lose Kyle Korver. So I feel like you lose a lot of guys on this team. I think you do just enough to still look great, but I think it's gonna be very hard.
Yes, and for me, what it's going to come down to is whose bench plays better and whose bench looks stronger. Giannis can put up all these points. We know that. But the Miami Heat are going to have a different look this season.
And look at their bench, Jonathan. Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson are on their bench.
Yes, and their bench is deep. And I think they're going to be locked and loaded. especially with Jimmy Butler leading that team and with all the pieces that they have, and the Bulls, of course.
Oh no, that's Jimmy right there. That's Jimmy. That's mad love to Jimmy.
So it won't be an easy journey this year for Milwaukee. And Chris, let me ask you, what do you think? How far will the Bucks go? Will they get back to the finals? Will they win it all again? Or will they, lose in the playoffs? What do you think?
Last year, Phoenix, people talked about Phoenix just had a cakewalk because of injuries.
Right.
Let's not forget, Trae Young got hurt in the conference finals. That he was cooking in the conference finals. I think the Hawks had a good chance. So really that kind of shows kind of what Mike just said. With the youth in the East, it's gonna be kind of hard for Milwaukee to keep up. I mean, yeah, they got size and strength, but Chicago has a young core. Atlanta, I mean, like we just said, Miami. There's so many young teams. Like basically, because Philly and Brooklyn have canceled out with their drama, we're not looking at them anymore. But you still really can't eliminate them. You got Kevin Durant, who is arguably the best player in the world. So I don't really think they come out the East again. They'll make a deep run in the playoffs, yeah, but they look great the other night, but it's going to be a new champion this year. It's going to be a new Eastern, somebody out the East too.
I just think their size and strength, and as Budenholzer can continue his coaching off the bench. I've been his biggest critic because sometimes I don't understand what the hell he's doing. But if he continues to stay strong in his rotations and have them make sense, like you saw the Lakers the other night, some of their rotations opening night against Golden State, if he can continue to stay consistent and make the right calls, plus with that size and strength, and also that, hey, whatever you want to say, they have championship experience now. So I just think that might be enough to get over some of these young teams. But yeah, I see where you're coming from, because the East, they got some young, hungry Lions, boy. Miami, Atlanta, the Knicks, the Bulls. There's a lot of young, hungry teams that's coming for Milwaukee, and they're going to have to be ready to step up to that challenge.
And then, like Mike said, PJ Tucker. I'm sorry.
There's definitely a lot of teams standing in their way. Go for it, Chris.
But like Mike said, PJ Tucker is definitely that player who, if you just look at the box score, why is this dude playing 30 minutes with 2 points and 1 rebound? But you got to look at like the defense he's playing. He's going to play the bigs. PJ Tucker's 6'6", 6'5", something like that, and he's out here guarding AD. Right. He's going to made Giannis' job a lot easier on the defensive end.
Now think about it, Chris. Think about it like that. You played a whole year with Giannis. If you have to match up Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, PJ knows. PJ knows exactly what to do. PJ knows exactly what they love to do.
Did you not just see? I mean, look at what Miami did opening night.
Mm-hmm.
Then them boys are like 20 something.
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
Maybe some dogs. I think you said that once before, Mike. It's some dogs. They're deep. They deep too.
They're dogs.
Give a lot of credit to Pat Riley. He knows
they might be
talent.
Would you guys say they the
deepest
team? Let's
not sleep on Spo. Spo is a very underrated coach.
Would you guys say Miami was the deepest team in the league?
I would say I'm not even trying to be biased here. I definitely think it is between, for the Eastern Conference at least. Mm-hmm. I would put Miami at 1 and the Bulls at 2. Just because I love that Bulls bench. You got Ayo, Caruso, Kobe, a bunch of cats that you got, and Brown and all these other cats. But I do have to give it to Miami at 1 just because Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero can start on so many teams. I felt like one of their biggest flaws, I thought it would have been so nice to have Kendrick Nunn remain with them. So that you could have that entire bench, Kendrick, Tyler, and Duncan. I felt like that would be cold. I don't know who their backup point is now. But I definitely felt like losing Kendrick was huge.
And to be able to keep Robinson, be able to keep Tyler, and still make the changes that you made, credit to that front office from Miami.
Without a doubt.
And it seems like Hero's adjusted to that bench role. He's not arguing. So
Bulls 3-0.
Yeah,
Bulls 3-0. Bulls 3-0.
I can see the Heat
they beat
doing
they
some
beat the
amazing things.
they beat the Pelicans tonight 128-112. Zach LaVine 32, 6-5.
Averaging 33.
They
Mhm.
look good to start the season.
Now, Jonathan, me and Will actually had a question for you, and it was a topic that Chris created. I was wondering if we can go into that real quick. Chris, if you want to talk about that Derrick Rose comment that you had in the topics a few weeks ago, we never got a chance to get to it.
Okay.
If you can elaborate on that.
So Derrick Rose has won MVP. And as a former MVP, we all know that Derrick Rose does not get the love that he deserves.
Of course.
Because, injuries has derailed his career. Mike said earlier, the top 75 list, Derrick Rose is an MVP, the only MVP not on that list.
And they got Dame on the list.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I don't get that either. Man, Bernard King not being on that list is a travesty. That's
We'll
a
get to that.
travesty.
We'll do that topic later.
Dwight was the biggest. Dwight was the biggest to me. And Clay.
Yeah.
T-Mac.
Facts.
But
T-Mac went on there?
T-Mac was not on
No, he
there.
wasn't on there. No.
Oh, Lord.
Mm-mm.
I just assumed he would be.
That's one biased list that has a lot
But,
of players on missions.
I think the only thing about this list that I hate about it was the fact it seems to be more of a popularity contest than an actual list.
Here's what it
I
was,
mean-
too, Will. Here's what it was too, and I read in on it. I was talking King of the Fourth Quarter, Chicago guy. You can check out his YouTube channel. Millions of followers now. Shout out to my boy Kenny. But it's one of those things where the first 50 that came out 25 years ago remained. They didn't switch it up. So you really only got to add 25 guys instead of, okay, well, maybe we should take some of these guys off the list because they're older, or maybe this, and that. So we got guys that were playing against 5'10" male men who would play in today's age. What's up, little man? But we definitely have one of those situations where I just feel like the whole list as a whole should have been shaken up, not just 51 to 75.
Yeah, but even with that, though, you cannot tell me that you can add Dame.
Yeah, you can't. No,
Honestly,
yeah,
I don't think AD should be on there just yet.
no, I don't think so either. He hasn't played long enough, and he hasn't been healthy enough.
Right. So yeah, there's just. I mean, even when I said T-Mac, he wasn't healthy, but you gotta look at
But what he
what
did.
he did in the league.
Right.
Yeah. So, but back to the Derrick Rose topic. With Derrick Rose coming off the bench for the Knicks, if he can win Sixth Man of the Year this year, which I give him a great shot at, and his MVP with his MVP background, is Derrick Rose a lock for the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Why?
Yeah.
Because before the injury happened, which occurred earlier in his career, Derrick Rose was on his way to being one of the greatest point guards of all time. I think he would have been, one of the top point guards had he not suffered that severe ankle injury that not only set back his NBA career, but he wasn't the same player after that. Less explosive, not as dynamic, and I think that injury kind of took a lot out of him mentally, not so much just physically, but mentally too.
And I also want to piggyback off your point because if you look at that injury, it made Derrick, instead of being the superstar that he is, it made more of a role player. If you go back and look at the injury that Dwight suffered made him more of a role player. Go back and look at Tracy McGrady, also made his injury make him more of a role player. And I just think that was in the thoughts of some of these guys when this list came up. And again, for D Rose not to be on there, for Tracy McGrady not to be on there, definitely Dwight. Because if you look at Dwight's trajectory, his first 5 years,
what Dwight's done.
His first 5,
done.
yeah. For his first 5 years, his trajectory was skyrocket. He was one of the few teams that beat LeBron.
Right,
So I don't get that. So just these injuries, and the fact that some of them are still playing, not at superstar level, I think really hurt these guys when it came with this list. If Dwight retired in Houston, I think he would have been on the list.
Right. And that was my point too, though.
Derrick Rose is a Hall of Famer to me, regardless, though.
Right.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't feel that he
Here's
is, though,
my
which
thing.
is
I
crazy.
understand.
Yeah.
My bad, Chris, but I
No,
understand, okay, maybe Dwight's not a Hall of Famer. Maybe for some crazy reason, let's say Dwight's not a Hall of Famer because he never won an MVP. That's fine. I understand. Maybe you need an MVP to be in the Hall of Fame, but Derrick Rose has that MVP.
Yep.
So how can you tell me you're the greatest player in the league and solidified, almost unanimously and voted MVP? You have all these seasons under your belt. He's played over 10 years. You win that 6th man of the year potentially, and potentially at one point throughout his career, a championship. We really don't know what this Knicks team can bring, and we really don't know what's going to happen injuries-wise, so we can't really say what's going to happen. But if he is somehow to get one of the two of those accomplishments, or even both, regardless of him not every single year being the most dominant guy, what he did for not only the city of Chicago, bringing them back to relevance after the death of the Chicago Bulls in the early 2000s, they destroyed, gone. They were not relevant for years. Derrick Rose, if you read his book, it's an amazing read. I'm still reading it right now. He even says, I didn't watch the Bulls growing up because I just didn't care. That's point blank period. He focused on his game. A lot of guys in Chicago didn't. There's the Kirk Heinrich days, and then before that, it was just wishing Jordan was still there. But
them Garpax days,
right? It's definitely one of those things though, where you look at it and what Derrick Rose meant to the game of basketball. And mind you, this guy was just coming into his 3-point shot. He didn't even work in it like that. But he was decent. So I feel like there was so much more with Derrick. But at the end of the day, as biased as I am because of how much love I got for a hometown hero, MVP. And that's all I have to say is you were the MVP, and every single MVP is in the Hall of Fame.
And youngest MVP though, you got to think about that too.
Yep.
Right.
What was he? 22 when he won it?
And tell me, has there ever been an MVP who hasn't gone to the Hall of Fame? No. So how are you to lead there? And especially coming back and just changing his career the way he has and completely changing the way he's played. It definitely speaks volumes to me on who he is as a person.
And I talked about rotations earlier. I talk about coaching moves earlier. If Tibbs would have took him out of that game when he was supposed to, they were winning that game. They were in the lead in that game. He got hurt. If Tibbs would have took him out, he was supposed to. We'll be talking a whole different story about D. Rose.
I will say, though,
different story.
I think it still happens. I definitely
do.
I still think it happens. The same way God forbid, because I love the kid, but I see it happening with Ja. Because the difference with Westbrook is the way Westbrook lands is about protecting himself. You know what I mean? Like Westbrook's explosive, but he protects himself. He doesn't try to land on one leg. I see the same thing in Ja, and that's why I love Ja's game, because he reminds me of a baby Derrick. But that's why I fear Ja, because I definitely think Ja needs to protect himself more. And the same way that I felt like Derrick was just so ready to give everybody that box office ticket, because he understood that not a lot of people have money, and in this you save money all year to see guys like Rose, Curry, Kobe, and Bron play. So he wanted to give you a show every single night, but because of that, I feel like he didn't do enough of a job to protect himself, because he was trying to please the people, and just overall treat everybody he was playing against, and he did. But I definitely think it would have happened at one point or another.
Yeah. Yo, is Jonathan asleep?
Nah, he's on his phone.
He's on the phone.
Okay, I'm about to say. I know he
I
had
have a question.
I
I have a question. Where is Freddie?
watching the Lakers game.
Freddie's watching the Laker game.
So
I wanted to too.
When his Lakers lose, we can't get his reaction.
We can't get the reaction.
He's just killing the vibe. Just killing the vibe.
Hey, you know how it is.
Man.
Hey, but you know what, William? I'm sorry to tell you, brother. I'm gonna kill your vibe a little bit more, because we're gonna have to. And I know you're tired of hearing his name, because I'm tired too. I'm exhausted, but we gotta talk about it because it's still in the news. Ben Simmons.
Oh God.
Ben Simmons' future.
You should have seen me last show, Will. Jonathan was there when we were talking about
I was watching last show.
What? Okay, here's the question I have. What does the future look like for Ben Simmons? Is it bright? Is it bleak?
Say it with me, Will.
What does it look like?
Shanghai.
Oh, yeah. Shanghai. That's exactly where we're going to end up. The way he's acting right now, and he's going to go to the team and tell him I'm not in a mental place to play. Ben Simmons is what, 24, 25? Over to my, he's not prepared to play. Get the hell out. You making all this money. You ain't got no kids. You don't have a wife as far as I know of. So with that being the case, what's stopping you from playing? Absolutely, positively nothing. And you killing your trade value. And the thing that's messing with my head a little bit is Daryl Morey, because he's up here talking about, look, I have this great asset. I want to make sure I get something for this great asset. But here's the problem. Your asset is acting up. And your asset is killing your own trade value. So get what you can for him, get rid of him, and move on. He don't want to be there. Don't force him to. Move on, get something for him, and move on. Eesh.
Yeah, well, hey, isn't that the only reason he did show up to play, to help his trade
Yeah,
value?
I truly believe that's the only reason he stayed.
And missing those paychecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
That too. I will go to you, Chris. Well,
What's up, Jordan?
What do you have to say about this, Chris? What's up, Jordan? Thanks for tuning in.
So yeah, I agree with Will. You just gotta let him. You gotta get something for him.
Gotta let him go.
Maury's still trying to get too much, and
That's the
all
problem.
like we know the image of Ben Simmons now. Like his lasting image is passing up a dunk to somebody who's gonna miss a shot and then miss the free throw.
Right.
That's Ben Simmons' last image, and now it's him practicing with a cell phone. Like
Cussing out Doc.
Yeah, like you're getting escorted out, you're suspended. Everything is dropping. Like his stock is dropping lower and lower. Pretty soon, you better hope Bradley Beal wants out, because that's going to probably be the only trade that's going to be available. And it's going to be a 1-for-1 deal. You're not getting anything extra anymore.
Yeah, I doubt Washington gave up the future for Ben.
Yeah. You would only do
I
one. You
know
would only do
I
a
know
1-for-1 deal.
Especially for Beal.
And that's only going to be if Beal wants out.
Right.
That's going if Beal wants out.
Beal's happy. Beal's chilling.
Yeah. So I really don't see anyone else who wants to deal with it now, because like Sacramento made their offer,
Right.
We're turning it down. He's wanting too much. He kind of still has that mentality that he had in Houston.
Right.
Right.
Where you could get so much for little, but that's not gonna happen with Ben.
Right. I see personally, if Chris, I could go, I feel like I feel like Cleveland, because there are those, understandings that, okay, well, Colin Sexton is a little bit undersized, but I feel like Colin Sexton and Joel Embiid definitely could work out. I think, we had this conversation last show, I will say it, and it's definitely something a lot of people have backpedaled on, but I'll remember what we all said. He was the second coming of LeBron James. As viewed, they said this guy could be the second coming of LeBron James. Size, body built, his mind, his athleticism, who he is as a man is LeBron James 2.0. But that mentality, I'm watching you knock down threes in practice and just completely crap on people and talk all this crap. But then in a game, I'm watching you afraid to dunk on an injured Trae Young. Like that doesn't precipitate what I'm seeing in practice, who I'm seeing from you. And we said it from the jump. Why nobody ever asks me, Will. Nobody ever asks me what I mean by Shanghai. They always think I'm playing. Let me tell you.
I know.
I know.
But let me tell you something about China. This is why I always say Shanghai, is because people in China don't play that shit. People in China, they will teach you respect, and they will teach you to be the best that you can be, and they expect that of you. In America today, we coddle people. LSU coddled this man. America coddled this man. The Philadelphia 76ers said, man, we got you Jimmy Butler. Oh, you don't like Jimmy because he's too tough on you, because Jimmy wants you to be great? All right, fine. Jimmy's gone. Dude, you literally had J.J. Redick, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris, and all these other cats. You had a death lineup to be able to go against an injured Golden State Warriors team, and you didn't take accountability in that. No one even asked you to shoot these threes or make these threes, I should say. We just asked you to shoot them so that the floor could be spaced instead of you and Ben or you and Joel being coddled in the middle. Where I think he fits the best, though, I think it would be very interesting to see him with the Houston Rockets. I definitely think it's interesting just because of Jalen Green. You have Christian Wood. You have Daniel Tice. You have
I like Christian Wood.
Yeah, right.
I like Christian Wood.
Big kid. Great kid. You have Kevin
Yep.
Porter Jr. If you can somehow get them on that roster by maybe only giving up Kevin and a few picks, I think this is a big team. And I think because they don't have that, I know Chris might not like it, but I feel like because they don't have those expectations of being great right now, it gives Ben a little bit more time to grow up as a man. Mind you, I don't like getting personal. Kendall Jenner breaks up with Ben Simmons and goes for Devin Booker. Tell me why. Tell me why, gentlemen. I see it as this. Devin Booker, and I'll say this for the Kardashians. Them women work. Women work, and they work hard at what they do. They are great at what they do. They are enterprise type people. They are Mamba mentality type. And that's why I feel like so far, her and Devin Booker have worked because Devin works hard. He respects his craft. She respects hers. But with Ben, again, needs to be coddled, needs to be with you 24/7, needs to have everything handed to you. Ben needs to understand that Mamba mentality. Ben needs to understand that this is a business, and only businessmen and women work here. And if you ain't willing to work, we haven't asked you to do anything. We haven't disrespected you. It's not like a political argument like Kyrie Irving to the point where I need you to put this into your body that you don't know what it is. You know, I'm not asking you to shoot yourself up with a heroin needle or a Pfizer needle. I'm just asking you, can you shoot the ball a couple times? No.
Yeah, that's it. About, like, look at Giannis. For years, everybody kept saying, if Giannis develops a jump shot, Right. I mean, it's an ass jump shot now, but he's taking it. Right.
Yep.
You have to respect it enough. Like, he may take 10 games.
Lonzo's the same way.
Yep.
Yeah, but so you're going to have to come out and defend it. That's it. Like you said, it just opens up the floor just enough. But even like we kind of should have seen this coming with Ben, because look at LSU. He didn't do anything the whole time in LSU but wait to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
He's been spoiled. He's used to getting what he wants. He just thinks he can just coast by on what he's done before, and it's not what it is anymore.
Video game streams and living it up at home, and
that's it, man.
If you want to do that, that's fine. Retire.
Everyone's
asking Kyrie to retire, though. Ben should retire. If you don't want to play, don't play.
Can the man just put a tape of DeMar DeRozan in, get his mid-range game, which would be perfect for him?
Right.
Perfect. Get that mid-range game down. Once you do that, the crowd won't ask you for nothing else. Right. Free throw line extended, hit some baseline jumpers, you will be good.
Yeah, but we've all seen the video. He can shoot it. He just won't.
A couple of years ago, he went down to Rico Hines, did the Rico Hines runs. He looked fantastic. He looked great. But for some reason in the game, you won't do it. Bruh, you got to grow up. Stop being scared.
Right.
Stop being scared. Take those shots.
Is that he lacks confidence in his shot. He doesn't
pay me all that money. Pay me all that money. Pay me all that money. I'll break them all.
But we've seen what he could do. We've seen what he could do in practice.
Right.
And I've seen videos of him knocking down his jump shots. Okay, now take that and apply it to a real game.
But in practice, there's no expectations. In the game, there's expectations, and that's where he falls short.
You know, miss it. Like nobody
would miss it. Yeah.
Like,
and to me,
if he would win for 10 on jump shots, nobody's going to criticize him for it at this point in his career.
We didn't expect you to make it.
Look at James Harden. James Harden's a perfect example of someone in the playoffs who misses threes constantly. But at the end of the year, it's cool. We're going to run it back with James Harden at the end of the day. And if he missed all those shots in the playoffs, you're still running it back with Ben at the beginning of the next year.
And when he's playing in the actual game, facing immense pressure, it's hard for him to make those shots.
Like, nobody criticizes Kevin Durant's shot last year where he shot a 2 and made it when they needed a 3. Granted, we thought it was a 3, but he took the shot. If Ben takes that shot where he passes it and misses it, nobody cares.
Because there's no expectation for him to make it.
Right, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that was what you're supposed to do.
You're doing your job.
Yep. Pay me all that money. I promise you. I'm putting everything up. You give me something that, man.
Jonathan, I just got a little update that says Max Scherzer will not play Game 6.
I was just reading that right now. But Mike, this is a great show. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about that after this show.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about it, bro.
That's not a good look. That's not a good look for the Dodgers going into Game 6.
It's not. It's really not.
And I have to place a lot of the blame. I know this is an NBA show, but I'm gonna just say this: I'm about to place most of that blame on Dave Roberts because he didn't worn down dude's arm.
I believe it.
It's fatigue.
I'll say this though, right before we get back to basketball, put a lot of it on Trevor Bauer too, because if Trevor Bauer didn't act like an idiot, during the season, then
Facts.
you would have been in a lot better position right now.
That's
Facts.
true. And also we wouldn't have probably signed it. We probably would still have Kike Hernandez and Jock Peterson.
Yep.
Because those two guys wanted to come back. But what did the Dodgers do? They paid Trevor Bauer instead.
And I had Jock for like 5 minutes. Traded everybody.
Yeah.
Traded everybody except Jason Hayward.
Oh man, them LA teams, boy, man. Jonathan, I feel for
Everybody
you, bro.
except Jason Hayward, get out. We love
Them-
we love a 100 batting average.
Them LA teams, Jonathan.
This is called fast break, not
Look,
strike.
man, them LA teams, Jonathan. I feel for you, bro. All drama.
Hey, Jay,
All
at
drama.
least they're relevant.
Facts.
Yeah,
That's
we're
true.
relevant, but I like to win a championship. I mean, winning never.
Yeah, no doubt, Jay. But let me ask you something, bro. In recent years, before Zach LaVine and Butler and all that other stuff was going on, there wasn't a lot of basketball players you could buy a jersey of. For the Lakers, that whole team, I'd be willing to get a
That's
jersey of.
because there's
Even
so much
even
mystique
before
wrapped around the
LeBron.
Lakers, though.
Right.
There's
Even-
so much
even
stuff.
be-
Even when the Lakers are trash, I mean, they're still respected because they're
Right,
Yeah.
you still got
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
guys on the squad.
It's because there's so much mystique wrapped around the organization because it's considered a name brand organization.
Right.
If you guys
Garpax,
know what
we
I mean.
were a name brand, but Garpax
You know,
completely.
Like
Garpax
I remember when
messed
the
us up.
Dodgers. I remember when the Dodgers used to be so trash. Like when Frank McCourt owned the team. The Dodgers were a disaster.
Yeah.
And now when new ownership took over, all of a sudden they make the playoffs every year, and then they dominate, and then they get so far, and then they lose.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it's tough to be an LA fan. But you know what? I can't say this, William. We're a spoiled fan base.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt. No
Compared to
doubt.
a number of
No
fan
doubt.
bases,
No
we have
doubt.
really had it good
No
here
doubt.
in Southern California.
No doubt.
I mean, there's been so much to talk about. There hasn't been much misery. So I really can't complain. But for me, I'm such a competitor that winning never gets old. I always love to win. It never gets old. It never
Listen.
gets tiring.
Listen, them Clippers lost last night, so I was happy to see that.
I wasn't,
Yeah,
man.
you-
I'm
you
still
better
not a
be
Golden
on
State
that.
I was
fan.
happy to see that,
Yeah,
man.
we can agree on that one.
Hey,
Oh.
but when you guys saw that, Jay, I seen it. I said, all right, Curry got it in the bag. Paul George pulled up. I said, he bricking.
Yep.
He
Hey,
hit that three. I
hey.
said, damn.
I'm watching the Nuggets and Spurs game. Wow, that was a crazy steal by Austin Rivers.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this
You can't
when
just say that.
I'm gonna say this when Clay come back to Golden State, boy,
Yeah.
They're a problem.
they're a problem.
Golden
But
State.
they need Wiseman to be healthy, though.
Look,
They do.
I'm
They do.
gonna say this: Golden State's looking like that. What's the year when they won the 74 games?
16.
16.
I mean, oh, okay,
The
yeah, they're
72,
looking
yeah.
like that. They're looking like that 2016 Golden State team
Right.
when they
I'll
didn't
say-
have Durant.
I'll say this, though.
They're
and I'll
looking like
say
that
it,
team.
I'll say it forever. I love Curry. Curry's one of my favorites of all time.
I love Curry, man. That's
But I'll
my
say
favorite.
this, bro. You messed up not taking LaMelo Ball.
Thank you.
You messed up.
Thank
James
you.
Wiseman. I understand
Thank
James
you.
Wiseman was the fit, but I felt like longevity, you still get LaMelo
Yeah,
Ball.
Wiseman could grow into his own, and they kind of needed a big man.
Right.
They did.
And what
Yeah.
you could have traded LaMelo for? Come on, bro. You could
So
have
you mean
tell me this, Chris.
What could you have traded him for, though?
You could have got LaMelo Ball and Andrew Wiggins' contract to get another superstar.
Facts.
And that's
Okay.
where I
Facts.
okay? I'll give you that. I thought you were
Facts.
saying like you get LaMelo Ball,
Facts.
like he doesn't.
Okay.
No, but okay,
I think
that makes sense.
like,
That's a business
why
move.
don't you go be a
Yeah.
general manager?
I probably should, but I really don't know how to get into that. So
That's a
it's-
hell of a
it's-
business move.
Yeah, it's a hell of a bit. You look at it like that, though. You tell
I
me.
mean,
right
he's
now,
thinking
Jonathan.
of smarter business moves than some of the general managers.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. I do this. Like I'm in my head all the time thinking about things. Like me personally, you watch the podcast, you watch Mike on the Mic. I said it from the jump. I said DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Derrick Rose. That's what the Bulls need to do. They tried to do all three. Derrick wanted to stay with Tibbs, got Caruso. I was 2 for 3. I was vibing. But my point was, man, hey, nah, KD, you ain't leaving. Here's Andrew Wiggins' contract, LaMelo Ball, and the next 3 picks. He back in Golden State, and Brooklyn ain't going to say nothing about it. That's just how I look at it. And that's the point you got to look. You're not going to get KD, but you're going to get a great player back like KD. You're going to get a Bradley Beal. You're going to get
I'm going to say this about Wiggins, though. I'm going to say this about Wiggins. That's the quietest 18 points a game I ever heard.
Oh, yeah, dude, it's bad. It's bad.
Terrible. The quietest 18 points a game I ever seen.
I really don't even notice him. Sometimes I'm shocked. I look at the stat line. I'll be like,
what? He had 20?
I'll be like, where was he?
What?
But he's a weird cat, man. He's a weird cat.
Before we go for the night, I want to get to one last topic. And
wait, before we get to the topic, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Just as you talk about Mike on the Mike podcast, Rob Parker, I just got to shout you out for that.
Oh,
man.
yeah, I got my boy Rob coming out Monday night. It's going to be
no way. No how.
That's my guy.
Rob's been on the ASAP show twice.
Yeah, Rob is my guy.
Real cool
you know, when I covered the 2018 All-Star game when it was here in Los Angeles, I was so lost in the media section at the Staples Center. He helped me find my seat.
And shout out to Rob. And shout out to Rob because he also does other shows like Kelsey Nicole Nelson's podcast. He's been on her podcast. So shout out to Rob for looking at it. So not snubbing all forms of media. He's willing to come on and help everybody out. Yeah.
I appreciate him for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate him for that. I really do.
Yep.
He's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
He's good heart, man. Good heart, man.
Yeah, he has a big heart. I really appreciate him for that. But before we head out, guys, I want to talk about the Lakers. Will the Lakers get their act together? Is a big question. I know they're playing the Phoenix Suns right now. I don't know what the score is because I don't have the game on. The Astros game is on in the background here.
Well, you know, it normally takes super teams a while during the season to gel. If you go back and look at it, when you go back and look at the Heat, it took them a minute to gel.
Even the
Warriors.
Suns over Lakers.
Okay. Thank you. But it takes super teams a while to gel to get to know each other better. My biggest issue is Frank Vogel. Is he gonna be the coach who can get that done? Because I don't understand his rotations, man. Why do you have Russell Westbrook and Rajon Rondo out there on the court at the same? Why?
That never happened. That should never happen.
Never ever.
That shouldn't happen. His rotations are very baffling,
suspect,
and suspect. Yes. Like me and Freddie were talking about this earlier. He's a great defensive-minded coach, but when it comes to running an offense, I don't know so much about Frank Vogel.
He need an offensive coordinator.
I said it like this though from the jump because I know my laptop's about to die. I feel like I look at it from a perspective of you don't always have to go big to go home. You know what I mean? Like they always say, go big or go home. But you could have won an NBA championship, I truly feel, with Derrick Rose, Buddy Hield, or someone along those lines.
Buddy Hield would have been the perfect fit.
And get Russell.
Love Buddy Hield.
Right. Or Chris Paul. You could have brought in Chris Paul. You could have had that conversation. I don't think Chris would have left.
He wasn't going to lose that money, man. That's $34 million. He would have.
Yeah, no, he wasn't going to. But with that State Farm thing, bro,
yeah.
Come on. You on screen every minute, bro.
You know,
it's $34 million though, man. He asked me about it. I was like, nah, man, get your money, bro.
Right.
Get your money,
what I'm trying to say is though, you needed a floor general, not another superstar name.
Exactly.
And I definitely felt like
Look,
he did a lot.
I'm going to say this: the more money, the better. I know a lot of people say it ain't about money, but
it is.
Hey,
yeah, it is.
It is. Because you know what? We live in expensive times, and every damn penny counts. So, hey, if you can stack that bread, stack it. However way you can. As long as you're doing it legally, I'm fine with it. Stack that bread however you can.
And if you live in Chicago, you're okay if you're doing it illegally. It's cool.
I know I'm trying to get money.
We don't judge you. As long as you ain't
man.
kill nobody, I ain't rocking with. I ain't hating on you, big dog.
Just don't tell me what a dead body is, and we good.
Don't tell me about it. I don't want to
Don't
hear
tell me
about it.
about it. I don't want to hear
All I know is
it. Let's
you
come
make
out
it
here
go
and
crazy,
play.
dog.
Let's come out here and play, dog.
I'm trying to stack my cheese too.
Bro.
If you ain't about that money, man, at one stage in your life or another, something wrong with you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you
What
got to
are
be
you
about
doing?
that money. And
Mhm.
people that tell you, well, it ain't all about money. They know they lying to themselves. They lying to themselves. Let
Or
them
they
tell
broke.
Want to go to work then? I mean,
Or they broke.
Yeah.
that one, yeah,
Or they broke.
that part.
No doubt.
I got to get mine, cuz
No doubt, bro.
I got kids.
Right. I look at it like this though. Like at the end of the day, I think a lot of teams look at it like that too. Like, yeah, we trying to win a championship, so we'll throw you that money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the Suns were willing to give him that money just to make sure the Lakers didn't get him. You know,
Right.
like they definitely could have brought in another point guard. They definitely could have drafted somebody else. But they felt like Chris Paul definitely was that guy. But at the end of the day, back to my point was, I feel like with the Lakers, all right, we're going to throw our money at the biggest name or we're going to trade for the biggest guy. But I truly felt like, you know, you definitely could have got a Rose or a Buddy or just somebody along those lines to just cool it down. You know what I mean? So when shit doesn't get too crazy. Now, when I see Bron in the corner and I see Russ coming up and AD under the bucket, I don't know what it's like. I'm literally looking at three guys holding an AK-47, and I don't know who's gonna shoot first. It's too much going on, and I still feel like it's gonna take a lot throughout this season to figure out how to
play AD. You go play AD. You go play AD because you know it's a good chance Westbrook gonna miss. Good chance LeBron gonna miss. Go play AD.
Right. But that's the thing though, is that I feel like with Rose or Buddy, it slows down a lot more.
Right.
And you just get that opportunity to take a minute to breathe. Whereas Russ, when Russ gets that ball, it's, oh, Bron needs a second to breathe. All right, I'll shoot it. And then he shoots it. We don't slow it down. Like, it's like, dog, like, give me a minute. Like, we got 20 seconds to shoot the ball.
exactly.
But he's
Shout
ready
out
to
to-
go in the first 5.
Shout out to my boy Tony. See, he always said the thing about Westbrook. If his opponent come out hitting threes strong, Westbrook gonna try to match it, and that's where he messes up a lot.
Right.
Yep.
He's accepted to that.
I think one thing would be you play Westbrook like the first few minutes. Of course, he's gonna start, but you sit Westbrook first. You bring Westbrook in with the second unit, like let him lead that second unit instead of Rondo. Like we were
Dude,
saying
I
earlier.
think they'd have the best bench unit in the league. If Russell Westbrook was on the second unit and Rondo was starting, best bench unit in the league.
I'm not saying start him, but just because Westbrook has to start, just for name value alone, he has to start. But maybe play him like 4 minutes in the first quarter, sit him, and until you're ready to bring in your second unit. Then you got Westbrook leading that second unit. They're a great bench. Him and Melo leading the second unit. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And some dudes are built, and some dudes are built like that. Some dudes can come off the bench and actually be better than if they were starters because they see what's needed. They see what's needed, and they go out and they give it to you.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Exactly. But guys, man, it's been a great show. It's been a blast with you all once again. We're gonna wrap things up now. Any of you guys have final thoughts? William, I go to you first.
Suns. I want the Suns to beat the Clippers tonight. I want my Bulls to continue to play well. They're 3-0 right now, so let's roll this puppy down. Let's keep playing some good basketball. I want the season to go well. I want to see Golden State come back on top. But most of them Bulls, man, it's all about Chicago. Freddie keeps messing with us, talking about we just not relevant. Well, we may just be relevant, but we're gonna make the best case for being championship relevant. And we're gonna stay there. So get ready for that.
Chris, I mean, bear with me, guys. My voice is shot from last night. I did all that screaming at the Dodger game. My voice is kind of shot, as you guys can hear it right now. But Chris, I'm gonna go to you. You have any final thoughts for us?
Man, just hoping Phoenix knocks out the Lakers tonight because me and your boy Freddie got that little side bet going on right now.
Did y'all ever discuss that?
Yeah, we got to figure it out. You'll see
by
the end of the night, hopefully.
Oh, man.
But man, it was a pleasure on this show. Like I watched the show before. It's great with y'all, man. Just a vibe, no arguing, no yelling. I love
we
this.
don't do that here. I'm chilling.
Everybody got one mic.
Mhm.
Everybody got no two mics. Everybody got one mic. Ain't no two, one. I was about to say Freddie got to give it. If the Suns win, Freddie got to give it a second mic.
Man, you know
Until
what? We
he
might
gets
have to
the
change the
dub.
bet to that.
I started to say that. What mic?
Before we let the mic drop, I want to get to Mike on his final thoughts.
You know, I'll say it point blank, period. I said it at the beginning of the year, and I'll say it now. Currently averaging 33 points a game, only 2 games into the season. But if we get a good playoff run going, get into the seeding, I think Zach LaVine is definitely your dark horse MVP candidate. And that's my
If he picks up from where he left off last
break
season
my
and
brother
he
ankle.
continues to improve as he did last season, I don't see why not. I mean, I think that's a fair assessment early on, at least with the season just starting up. But I want to thank you guys again for coming on and joining
Anytime, man.
me for another episode of NBA Fast Break.
Man, let's shout out Jordan in the comments.
What's up?
Let's shout out Jordan in the comments, man.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Appreciate you, Jordan. Appreciate you coming through.
thanks, Jordan. Thanks for coming through. And
Appreciate
thanks
you coming
for
through.
all our viewers out there for coming through. You guys are awesome. Without you guys, none of this is possible. Fellas, you guys have a good night.
You too, man.
Go
Enjoy your
Suns.
weekend.
Gentlemen,
Have a
it was a
good
pleasure.
weekend.
Go Bulls.
And
Go
enjoy
Bulls.
all the NBA games.
Go Bulls, baby.
And William and Mike, celebrate because you guys deserve it. Your team
Yes, sir.
is 3-0 start.
Yes, sir.
See you guys next Friday, guys. You guys take care.
Later.
Man.
We're out.
Laters.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation.